Well, I'm glad y'all came. Get yourself comfortable somewhere, and let's do that. Get comfortable.
There we go. Yeah.
I think this will be a good experience. I like leading groups, and let me get people to maybe we'll introduce ourselves or something.
Like, why are we in here? I mean, I hate these groups. Like, can we smoke? I really need to smoke.
Just let the men talk.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Every single time we run these daggone groups, we're never allowed to smoke.
Joe, you can leave and go smoke. I mean, you can't smoke in here.
Good.
I'm not telling you to leave.
Well, can I get credit for still being here?
Well, yeah, if you're going to
All
go
right,
smoke,
good,
are you
yeah.
coming back?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. What? Let's do this. I'd like you to introduce yourself, and maybe say your name and maybe your favorite color and one thing you're hoping to get from group.
I'm Fran. I'm originally from Florida. Well, really, I've been in Texas for a really long time, so that's really kind of more where I grew up. And I'm still not even quite sure how I ended up here. I mean, I guess I do know. I followed a man. I've been married twice. I have a couple kids. My daughter still lives with me. My other kid, I don't even actually know where she is right now. And
What do you mean you don't know where she is?
I said I don't know. I'm trying to tell the story. Don't make me feel any more guilty about it. I feel bad enough as it is.
I mean, it's your child. Where
yeah,
are they?
I know. And she sometimes stays with my mom, and sometimes she stays with my ex-husband.
Okay,
I don't know where she is right now.
Hang on,
do you know where everybody is at this instant?
Hang
I mean,
on.
if they were my child, I would.
Whatever.
Jen, you got any?
Jen, Pink, and I really love all this drama. It's great.
What do you mean all this drama?
Well, I mean, really, why am I being forced to sit in here with some guys already gotten to walk out and leave, these two are already fighting, and what are we getting out of this?
What's your beef
exactly?
with us?
Whatever.
Doesn't sound like she has beef with us, just you and your irresponsible mothering.
Can I leave too?
No, we got to. No, because then we wouldn't have a group.
That was horrible. Perhaps the worst illustration of leadership I can imagine. Do you want to know something? This can happen. This leader makes a veritable plethora of mistakes. For example, he lets a negative, hostile tone get set. He lets the members more or less run the group. He doesn't clarify the purpose, nor does he pay attention to group dynamics or process. If this is allowed to continue, the result will be absolute destruction of trust and benefit for the members. But fear not. The purpose of this DVD is to teach you how to avoid group meltdowns like this. Let's watch now how a skilled leader would handle a group such as this.
Let me get us started by saying something. Morgan first, maybe if you'll finish up with that.
Oh, okay.
If this group could be a good experience for you, and think about that, what would it take for this to be a good experience?
For us to be able to smoke.
Yeah, unfortunately you can't.
Just let him talk.
That's okay. No, I don't mind Joe saying that. You're Joe, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't mind that. If it could be a good experience, what would it take? Think about that. Because we're going to spend an hour and a half, and we're going to do this twice a week. What would it take to make this a good experience where you'd say, I'm learning something?
Not to be a waste of time.
Okay.
A lot of these have been, a lot of these have just been a waste of time in the past.
A lot of groups have been a waste of time. I've heard that. I believe that. I've watched people lead these groups that are a waste of time. I don't try to lead any group that's a waste of time. What would make it a good group for you? Morgan, if it was a good group, what would make it good?
I mean, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes I get in here and people just say stupid stuff, and it's
So if
chaotic
I cut off stupid stuff and try to make it meaningful,
yeah.
that would help. JP, what would?
Yeah, a lot of times it's like we come in here and it's just sort of we chit chat for a little while and maybe we'll do a little worksheet or something, but it's not like anything really happened.
Okay. Hey, let me tell you why I think that happens. I think a lot of leaders don't take it deep enough, and it is just chit chat. So one of the things I'm gonna do is try to make this a meaningful experience. Jen, what would make it a good experience for you?
I mean, what you just said, I think that would be really helpful if we could get to some real stuff. But I
Would
think
y'all
it's-
like to do that? Would you? Joe, what about you guys?
It's just going to take all of us getting together. And I don't think we're
And-
doing that.
Well, I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been in and out of this program for a while now, and I never get a whole bunch out of these groups.
If there's something that you could get out of it, you think about what that might be, okay? You
Mhm.
think about that. So we can do something. Let's talk about this for a second. If we, this week, what's been a good thing that's happened this week and what's been a not good thing? And then we'll start there and then we'll build from there.
That was much better. The leader had the members sit in an organized manner, made sure a positive tone was set, cut off hostile members, stated the purpose, and he guided the group in regards to that purpose. Hello and welcome to this in-depth and practical demonstration of the book, Group Counseling Strategies and Skills. I'm Dr. Riley Harville, one of the co-authors, and I'll be serving primarily as the narrator. And with me in this exciting endeavor is my friend and former mentor, Dr. Ed Jacobs of West Virginia University. Ed will provide expert demonstrations throughout the DVD series. Also joining us is Dr. Bob Mason, who is providing content expertise. And joining Ed as a group leader and providing a different style of leadership is Dr. Chris Schimmel, also of West Virginia University. In addition, 4 other leaders will appear periodically, including Eric, Heidi, Liz, and Joe. The reason for having different leaders instead of just one throughout the entire DVD series is we want to emphasize leadership skills, and we hope you'll benefit from seeing a variety of leaders implementing the skills and techniques found in our book. And lest we forget the role play group members that have graciously volunteered to help us, all have studied under Dr. Jacobs and Dr. Schimmel at WVU. Thank you all for helping. Without you, this training DVD would not be possible. Our primary mission in this companion DVD is to teach you an active style of leadership, a style that utilizes the specific skills and techniques that we discuss throughout our book. In fact, we've designed this DVD to correspond with the book chapters so that you can both read and watch before trying the skills yourself. What you will see demonstrated in this DVD are the following: the difference between process and content, the importance of knowing the purpose of the group, how to begin a group, a demonstration of basic skills, how to use your eyes effectively, getting, holding, shifting, and deepening the focus, how to cut off members effectively, how to draw out members, how to use rounds, how to conduct exercises, using theories in groups, conducting therapy in groups, and how to close your groups. In our active style of leadership, it's the leader who takes primary responsibility for what occurs in the group. For example, which group exercises and activities should be used, whether an individual group member receives attention at a given point in time, and in some groups, even what the topics of discussion will be. And while group dynamics and group process are an important part in the life of a group, we believe that it's the skilled leader who is primarily responsible for achieving the types of outcomes that group members seek. There are over 40 demonstration segments in this DVD. Many of the segments highlight skills for counseling or therapy groups, but we've also included some examples of task groups and psychoeducational groups. We're using fewer members and have them arranged in a horseshoe fashion rather than in a circle to more easily highlight leadership skills. We do realize that many of the groups that are led have more than 4 to 6 members, and that members usually sit in a circle.
I can't tell you how excited I am that we are producing this DVD. I've devoted much of my 40-year career to group counseling, having done group workshops in almost every state in this country. We are thrilled to bring you this skills and techniques approach to group counseling. We feel certain that this DVD is going to help you further grasp what we are describing in our book. I hope you enjoy it.
I'm excited about this project as well. Learning to lead groups is challenging. However, leading groups can be exciting and rewarding for leaders who have the skills essential to do an effective job. Best wishes to you in your pathway to becoming the best leader you can be.
As a group leader, it's important to understand the difference between process and content. Group process refers to anything going on in the group between the members and the leader and refers to the patterns of interaction and energy exchanged. Process is about what occurs in the group and often has little to do with what is being discussed. Examples include how the members talk to one another and the leader, who talks to whom, how often each member speaks, the tone of the group, and whether members appear to trust the leader and other members. The group's level of energy, whether the discussion is lively or lethargic, somber or upbeat. Observing the group's process illustrates certain patterns, like whether a particular member never speaks, whether a particular member speaks only to certain other members, and whether someone is dominating discussion and discouraging input from other members. Let's take a moment and watch Ed and the group. In this vignette, the leader focuses on the group's process rather than its content. It's 10 minutes into the session of the group, and they've been talking about the emotional shoulds they have for themselves.
Well, I have a lot of shoulds about my looks and also about how I feel my apartment should look.
Well, let's do this. This is a good exercise. I'm going to get y'all in pairs and have y'all, what does that look about you?
I really don't want to do anything in pairs. I'd rather stay in a big group.
Me too.
Really? So pairing up, because why? What?
I mean, I don't really care whether we go in pairs or whatever. I think it's more because I feel uncomfortable, maybe. I just don't know. Like, I don't know if I trust them yet. I don't know.
Your head's nodding?
Well, I mean, it depends what exercise we're doing because I'm not really comfortable with everyone in the group yet to share.
Yeah, I think they're right. It's like some stuff you just don't want to share with everybody.
Okay, so we need to talk about how you're feeling about being here rather than shoulds. Even though I think shoulds is a good topic, let's do that. Let's just talk about how y'all feel about being here in the group.
Yeah.
I hope you noticed how Ed focused the group's attention on the group itself rather than on the individuals' lives outside the group. Let's now watch Ed focus on both process and content. This is a group at a mental health center. It's the third session.
Let's talk about need for approval. That's always a topic that I think people need to look at. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I feel like I need everyone's approval, but I wish I could be more like my sister because she doesn't need anyone's approval, ever.
Really?
Yeah.
You know why that is?
Because she's perfect, and I've always felt like...
That's how you see her?
Yeah, that's how I
Okay.
see her.
Okay.
I think that's how she sees
How
herself.
about other people?
Yeah, I mean, I really need people's approval, I think. Like, for example, when I go out on dates or I meet new people, when I leave, I literally worry and I just think about what they think about me and how it went.
I see a lot of heads nodding.
Mine's kind of about the need for approval in here.
Say some more about that.
Like Joe, last week, you kind of cut me off and I just felt like you thought I was stupid or something. And I don't know, it just, now I don't know how much to share. I'm really nervous about like trying to share personal information with like all you guys.
You know, I don't even really remember what you're talking about, to be honest.
It was when I was talking about that car wreck.
You know, I remember telling the story about my motorcycle accident,
Yeah.
and I remember that, but I don't remember your story.
But I wasn't finished like when you cut me off about.
Let me pick up, because so you're saying the need in this room is what
Like
you're
I'm-
concerned about. Others of y'all have some of that feeling here?
Yeah, I often don't really say anything because I don't know if it's safe.
It doesn't feel yet safe in here. What do you mean by not safe? That's an important term. If you don't feel safe, what does that mean to you?
I just don't know if people would be open to me sharing and that the things I say will be heard.
Okay, and I definitely want to make sure, let's focus not on the idea of need for approval, but in this room, the feeling of the group? Megan, you got a look on
Yeah,
your
I mean,
face.
mine was kind of like Morgan's. I'm just not quite sure what I want to share yet. I mean,
Okay.
Here the leader switches from content, talking about the need for approval, to process, talking about what's happening in the group. When leading groups, it's imperative that you're aware of what's happening in the group between you and the members, the process, as well as what's being discussed, the content. You'll sometimes focus on process, sometimes on content, but you'll always want to be aware of the two. As we state in our book, being clear about the purpose of the group is perhaps the most important group leadership concept to grasp. All of the skills we'll be demonstrating and which you will be using in the future will be based on your understanding of the purpose of the group. Purpose refers to why the group is meeting and what the goals and objectives are. Oftentimes, the advertised title of a group defines the purpose, as in the group titles below. Divorce Recovery Group, Grief Group, Caretakers of Parents with Alzheimer's Group, a group for raising funds for childhood cancer, a social skills training group for patients with Asperger's syndrome. However, even in groups such as these, members can bring up issues not relevant to the purpose, and the unskilled leader unwittingly allows the group to get off track. Not only is it important for the leader to know the purpose, it's also important for the members to know. Knowledge of what the group is about and where it's going gives members a context for their discussion and serves as a guide for focusing their attention. In later segments on beginning groups, we show how the leader clarifies the purpose in the first session. We present 3 segments on clarity of purpose. In this first vignette, Chris portrays a leader who is not clear about the purpose of the group. The group is a task group that's meeting to figure out recreational facilities for teens, but ends up talking about the mayor instead.
So what are some ideas that you have, ideas that we can do for teens in the community? I know you all have mentioned some things, but what are some more ideas that you have?
You know, I have a 13-year-old son, and he's got to go all the way across town through traffic to get to the skate park. I would really love to see another skate park in this town.
Okay, so a skate park, that would be a good idea.
And a lot of our playgrounds and places where kids play sports and stuff are kind of run down. What about maybe a rec center or some place like that, a nice facility for them to go and do things like play sports?
Okay, so rec center, skate park, others of you, these are good ideas for our list.
I think they are really good ideas, but my one concern is I have talked to the mayor about this before, and he doesn't have any kids. I think he just does not get it. It's like I've tried to pull him aside after council meetings and bring it up to him, and he just doesn't understand the problem because he doesn't have any kids himself, so he doesn't see what the big deal is.
yeah, and do you remember how he handled the bus crisis?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, my kids were out of it for like 2 weeks. I mean, it was all messed up, and
She's right about that.
Yeah,
aren't important to him at all.
No, not at all, not at all.
As you can see, the group is unfocused and headed toward irrelevance. In these cases, nothing will be accomplished. But next, let's watch Chris bring the group back into focus through her clarity on the group's purpose. It's the same task group as in the previous example.
So what are some ideas that you folks have for things in the community that we can do for teens? What are some ideas, activities along those lines?
You know, I would really love to see another skate park in this town. I mean, the one we have right now is on the outskirts of town, and people in my community just can't get to it without going through a lot of traffic.
So a skate park, okay.
And a lot of our playgrounds are run down. Like kids have nowhere to go to play basketball or just hang out. And what about a rec center or some kind of nice facility like that for them to go and do that sort of thing?
So a rec center, a skate park, I think those are great ideas for our list to give to City Council. I think those would be great ideas. What about others of you?
You know, I would love to see those kinds of things happen, but as long as we have this mayor in office, I just don't see it happening. I mean, I don't think he gets it. Like, he doesn't have any kids. He doesn't understand what it's like.
Yeah, let me stop you for a second because I know there's some frustration in the community with city leadership right now, but we have such a limited amount of time. Let's stay to this topic, developing a list of ideas, and I think we've heard some great ideas. Skate park, rec center. What about others of you? Ideas for teens in the community?
I like the idea of a rec center.
While what Chris did may seem relatively simple, it's vitally important. Keeping members clear on the purpose of the group helps in both channeling the overall discussion as well as honing individual group members' comments. Let's watch again as Chris demonstrates clarity of purpose. The group is for first-year teachers. It's a few minutes into the first session. Because the leader is clear about the purpose, she keeps the group from turning into a bitch session about the hospital.
So the purpose of our group really is to place a supportive group where we can share your concerns, your fears, your anxieties about being a first-year teacher. I know all of you have come to me and said, I'm anxious for the group because I have a lot of fears and concerns. So, yeah, what are some of the things you're feeling or experiencing as a first-year teacher?
For me, I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I'm a little alone. Like, I had all of this supervision while I was still student teaching, and I felt really great about the level of support I got. But now I feel like I'm sitting in this room alone, and I have kids most of the time, and then
it's all you.
when I don't have kids, it's just me. All the time.
Yeah. I see a lot of head shaking on that. What about others of you?
I kind of feel the same way too, and on top of that, I always tire at like this last 2 periods of the class.
You're exhausted at the end of the day. Okay. Others?
I mean, I totally agree with what you guys just said, but for me, it's been really hard because my mom's been sick and they can't figure out what's wrong with her. And so I've been to the hospital. I leave straight from school to the hospital every night. And
it's not City Hospital, is it? Because they're really bad about that.
Oh,
Actually,
let's hold on.
I'm telling you what, I can
Hold
tell
on
you
one
stories
second,
about
Fran.
City
Hold on one second. I know that's an interesting topic. We may want to come back to that. But so you're saying that you've had family stress on top of the regular stress that comes along with being a first-year teacher. Yeah, that can be tough, an added stressor. Yeah. What about others of you?
Thanks, Chris. Great job. Clarity of purpose is one of the most important skills you'll learn from our book. Knowledge of purpose provides you with the foundation from which all other skills emanate. Without it, you'll not be able to determine which skills to use or when to use them. Awareness of purpose is also virtually essential when designing group exercises and activities throughout the life of the group. The first session of any group is of utmost importance and often the most difficult. The leader has many different dynamics and logistics to manage, including helping members get acquainted, setting a positive tone, clarifying the purpose of the group, explaining the leader's role, explaining how the group will be conducted, addressing questions, facilitating interactions between members, helping members verbalize expectations, and closing the first session. That's a lot to consider. But with some experience, you'll find different ways to infuse these elements into the first session. Now let's watch as Heidi opens the session. This segment demonstrates the beginning of a support group for those whose spouses are deployed.
Hi everybody, my name is Heidi O'Toole, and I have been hired to facilitate this group. The military has recognized how difficult it's been on families when the spouses have been deployed. And so they hired me to run a support group for those of you that are in that situation, okay? What I'd like us to do, just first off, is go around and just give us your name, how many children you have, and who's deployed. Anybody can start if you like.
I'd like to actually. I mean, I know my husband's over there right now, but I don't know about this whole war thing. I mean, I know that we're all here to talk about our spouses.
Let me go ahead and let me just stop you right there.
Okay.
Why don't at first we just get you to say your name, how many children you have, and what one of your struggles are, and then we can come back and process issues that are really bothering. But let's just start by introducing ourselves. Okay.
Well, I'm Lauren. We have 2 kids. They're 4 and 2. My husband's over in Afghanistan right now, and I guess the biggest struggle for me is just trying to deal with the fact if he's going to come home and try to be a single mom and all that, you know, it's really emotional.
Okay, thank you. Thank
you. I'm Fran. My husband is in Iraq. We have 3 kids, and I just really miss him. I mean, he's been my best friend since 7th grade. You know.
Maureen?
My husband's in Iraq for the second time, and we have a daughter that's 7.
Okay. And your biggest struggle?
Oh yeah, I'm Morgan, sorry. And the biggest struggle is not knowing when he's gonna come home. They keep changing the date, so.
Okay. And I see a lot of you nodding. And again, that we'll come back and talk a little bit more in depth about what your struggles are. But I just really would like us to get to know each other first. Do any of you know each other? Okay. So let's go ahead and finish around so we can at least start there.
I'm Jen, and my husband is a naval captain, so he's in the Indian Ocean right now. We have 2 boys. One is 10 and one is 8. And I think my biggest struggle is that there's really not any type of communication on a consistent basis when he's at sea. So that's really hard, and him being the captain, he's always giving those privileges to other people first. So we're not talking a lot.
Okay. That can be tough.
My name's JP. My wife just got deployed about a month ago, and she's going to be gone for at least a year. And we have a daughter that's 3 years old. And my biggest struggle is I just wasn't ready for this, like having to take care of our child by myself and having her over there.
Well, I just want to say I'm glad you came. I think it took a lot of courage for you to come, especially with all the women here.
And I just want to pick up on what Morgan said. It really is. It seems as if it would be an awkward situation if we just think about JP is the only man and he is the primary caretaker of his children. And that's difficult for everyone, but it's good. I hope you find some support here. I hope that we can really work on making you feel comfortable enough to get what it is that you need from this group.
Thanks, Heidi. The importance of establishing the proper atmosphere right off the bat cannot be overstressed. She made sure the group didn't turn into an anti-war discussion right in the beginning. Heidi tried to make people comfortable, especially JP, since he was the only male. And she clarified the purpose of the group and what things would probably be discussed. She also facilitated members to share something right off by doing an introduction round. Now let's watch as Eric conducts the first session of a group of people coming to a mental health center to be in a support or therapy group.
I want to welcome you guys to the group. I think one of the first things I would like to do is, first of all, say thank you guys for coming. I know this takes a lot of courage to be involved in the group process. I think maybe one of the first things I could do is maybe explain a little bit to you about my style and what this group is going to be about. One of the things you will notice is there will be a tendency for, if you're getting a little long-winded, I may cut you off. And I want you to know I'm only doing that out of respect for the whole group, all right? And there will be times where I'm looking around as you're talking, and I'm only doing that to see if there's something that someone else is displaying because of what you're saying, and I want to make sure that I get them involved, all right? Something else about this group that I want to make sure you understand is that there is a level of confidentiality that we have to maintain. All right, what we say, what we talk about here in this group needs to stay here in this group. Can we get everybody to agree on that? Mm-hmm. Everybody good with that? Okay, so while I have you guys here, welcome again. And as we talked about, we're gonna talk about anxiety and depression, some other things that you're dealing with right now. On a 1 to 10, 1 being very low level of dealing with it. 1 is more extreme. 10 is, I got it together. On a 1 to 10, where are you at dealing with what you're dealing with, and who are you?
I'll start, yeah. I'm Lauren. I just worry about everything, and it's, even like small things that normal people like probably wouldn't worry about. Like my mom's in good health, but I worry about her dying all the time. Like I'll constantly call her just to make sure she's okay. And
where are you at?
Probably about a 5.
A 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right in the middle. Yeah.
Thank you. How about you, dear?
I'm Jen.
Hi, Jen.
And I'm probably about a 7 actually, because I've been in groups before. I've done a lot of group work, and I really like it. I find it helpful.
What is the topic area? What is the thing that you're dealing with?
Usually I've dealt with my addiction in the past. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. How about you, my man?
My name is JP. My therapist told me to come, and I'm not really used to being around people a whole lot, so I'm kind of uncomfortable.
On a 1 to 10, where is that discomfort?
Probably around like a 3, because I'm just not used to being around people.
Thank you for sharing, man. I appreciate that. How about you, dear?
I'm Fran, and I just get really anxious and nervous, in new situations and meeting new people. I mean, to the point that, like last week, I had to go to a doctor's office, and I was just waiting in the waiting room, and it just, I actually got up and left. I couldn't.
On a 1 to 10, where would you put that?
Like a 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing with us. How about you, dear?
I'm Jane, and this is a big step for me because my therapist have been encouraging me to come like for 2 or 3 months, and maybe I feel like a 5 or so.
What is the thing that you're dealing with?
I have like bad anxiety and panic attacks.
I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you coming here. The one thing I want to make sure you guys all understand is what we're going to do here is create an environment of unconditional positive regard. This is going to be a safe place for you to discuss this stuff. And I want you to know something else. I'm honored to be a part of this process with you.
Eric demonstrated a number of important skills here. He set a positive tone, clarified the purpose, tried to help members get comfortable. He didn't start with rules pertaining to confidentiality, but does get a commitment from everyone. Too often, leaders start with the group rules, which usually sets a negative tone. It's often boring. The key is to try to help members feel comfortable and to make sure members understand the purpose of the group and how it will be conducted. This next demonstration is the first session of a group of new teenage mothers. You'll see how the sentence completion makes it easy to get members talking and listening.
So I'm so glad you all could come to group this evening. I'm really excited about, our group and it being a real supportive environment. I tell you what, before we really get started with any topics or discussion, just if we could, Morgan, I'd like to start with you and just go around this way. Say your name and how old you are and how old your child is.
Well, I'm Morgan. I'm 17, and my son is 4 months.
4 months, okay.
I'm Jen, and I'm 17, and my little girl just turned 5 months today.
I'm Fran, and I'm 16, and I have a little girl, and she's 6 months.
6 months, okay.
I am Megan, and I just turned 17, and my daughter is only 4 weeks old. So.
Oh, tiny baby.
Yeah.
My son is 4 months. I'm Lauren, and I'm 16.
Yeah. Okay, and 4 months,
Mm-hmm.
right. So you have the babies are all different ages, so you're all dealing with different things, I'm sure, that go along with those different ages.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, one thing I was curious about too was, where are you currently living? What are your living arrangements right now? Because I know that some of you have different kinds of living arrangements. Jen or...
Well, my parents are divorced, so sometimes I'm at my mom's, sometimes I'm at my dad's, just depending on the situation.
So you and the baby kind of go back and forth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That can be difficult, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What about others of you?
I live with my mom.
Mom?
Yeah, and my little sister.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mostly at my grandma's, but it's really hard because she's more into my, daughter. It's like she's more like she's her daughter than her granddaughter.
Oh, so that probably creates some challenges for you.
Yeah.
Morgan or Megan, where are you currently living?
I live with my grandma and her boyfriend, so it's kind of crazy sometimes.
Okay.
I live with my mom and my stepdad.
Okay. So, and we all have different living arrangements, so different age children and living arrangements, and all of these are topics and things we can talk about in the group, and provide support for, but let's go ahead and really get started with some things here this evening. I have this sentence completion. There are 3 sentences on here, so if you would, take one of these. And Fran, I might get you to pass those around.
Thank you.
Pass those over here. Okay. If you will, just take a few minutes, and you don't have to write a lot. I mean, don't feel pressured to write a whole bunch of stuff, but just, if you will, finish those 3 sentences. Just take a few minutes and do that. Take just a few more seconds. Like I said, you don't have to write anything long, just maybe a word or a couple of ideas that get you thinking about. Okay? Okay. So let's look at this first one. The hardest thing about being a teen parent is?
Not getting to go out anymore.
It's like I feel like I've lost all my friends. You know, it's like even the ones that said that they would be there and be supportive, like they're gone. I haven't seen them in months. You know?
So the social piece. I see Laura. and
Mine's
Jenna.
kind of a little bit different. I'm afraid that people are going to judge me for not being a good mom because I am so young, and I think that gets emotionally hard sometimes.
Okay. So there's the social aspect and relationships with friends, and then also how people view you. Okay. Others of you, the hardest thing. What is the hardest thing?
I mean, mine's been all of that, but I just put the change. It's just been like my entire life has just been turned upside down.
Oh, so when the next one says the biggest change for me, is you would say everything.
Everything. Everything.
Yeah.
I don't think I could just pick one thing.
It would be hard to pick just the one thing. It's like your whole life has sort of been topsy-turvy. Okay.
Well, and for me, the biggest change is like I'm now responsible for another person. Like there's this little person that I have to consider in all the decisions that I make.
But that almost even goes into my biggest fear. It's like I am so afraid of like being so mad at her that I start to hit her the way that my dad used to me. You know?
Okay, let's maybe talk about that.
After a brief introduction, Chris dove right in, knowing that the sentence completion would get members talking. There are many ways to begin, and you'll want to give thought to the opening few minutes of the first session. Sometimes it's good to use icebreakers, although many times it's better to use activities that are relevant to the overall purpose. For serious groups, such as crisis hotline training or dealing with cancer, icebreakers that are fun and cute can take the members away from the reasons they're coming to the group. We encourage all leaders to think through how to conduct the first few minutes of the first session. This next area of demonstration covers basic leadership skills, including the use of I's, linking, summarizing, clarifying, self-disclosure, and tone. Just as in individual counseling, these skills are an important part of your group leadership repertoire. Let's watch as Chris demonstrates. This is a support group for parents. It's 30 minutes into the first session.
For me, I just feel like I'm really tired of trying to be super mom. You know, I'm working, I'm trying to have my career, I'm trying to raise my kids, and ultimately it's that guilt of almost feeling like I didn't really want kids in the first place, so why did I even do this?
I'm really glad that you said that, because I feel the same way too. You know, I just so emotionally exhausting just trying to take that time for myself, and I can't because you know, I feel guilty when I wish that I didn't have my kids sometimes.
Yeah, I see heads nodding, and I know guilt as a parent is something that I think you're all dealing with, and it doesn't have anything to do with loving your kids, right? I think everybody has said they love their kids, but you still have this guilt at times around these parental issues.
Yeah, I just feel like there's never, it's so exhausting, there's never enough time. It's like, you know, I have one kid that needs to be here and one kid that needs to be here, and on the weekends it's like I'm spending all of my time chauffeuring them back and forth, you know, and my husband and I, we have no time together anymore because either he's at a softball game here and I'm at a soccer game, or, you know, one lesson or another, and it's just we never have any time to be us anymore.
I see Morgan's agreeing.
And that's exactly where I am too, because like I feel bad if I don't go to a practice or a game or whatever, but then when I'm there, I can literally feel myself just getting, I don't know, almost angry. And I don't,
you know, let me share this with you all, just because I see so many heads nodding, and I just want to tell you, you know, from someone who feels exactly the same way. I mean, I know many of you know I'm a parent, but I have a 12-year-old, and he's very involved in athletics, and I used to deal with that same thing. You know, I would go to the football field and have to sit there, and, you know, it's just like, I could be doing something better with my time. But you find creative things to do. I remember one year I started filming the games, you know, and there is this guilt that exists. What about others of you? I mean, or I don't, Jane, we haven't heard from you, or Yeah, what are you feeling about, say some more about this guilt that we've all sort of experienced.
Well, sometimes I just feel bad because, with my son being the only black kid on the team, sometimes I really wonder if we should move.
Oh, really? Okay.
I feel the same way, like we're the only Chinese family here, and I just wish that I can provide him in a multicultural environment, but with my husband working here and I have a good job here, there's no way we are going to move anytime soon.
You're kind of married to this area for right now. Yeah.
Here, Chris demonstrated a number of necessary basic skills, such as a caring tone, linking or tying people together, self-disclosure, summarization, and clarification. Also, she was sensitive to the diversity issues that arose. With regard to self-disclosure, it's appropriate for leaders to use disclosure to make a point or to facilitate discussion, but it's not appropriate for leaders to disclose issues that are unfinished for them. You may want to watch this segment again to be sure you picked up the many different skills that she utilized. Previously, we demonstrated how the leader uses his or her eyes as a leadership skill, and how the leader scans the group in order to read the nonverbals of the talking member, as well as how to use one's eyes as a signal to have members look at one another, as opposed to just looking at the leader. We'd like to show a couple of segments to further emphasize the importance of using your eyes. It's 30 minutes into the second session of a group at a mental health center, dealing with the topic of guilt. In this first segment, the leader does a poor job in the proper use of eyes.
And I'm just feeling a lot of frustration because last week I ended up getting in a fight with my father-in-law, and my husband was not supporting me, trying to help out. And I know there was anger at first, because he doesn't even get along with his father. But then when me and my father-in-law started fighting, he was instead of being a mediator, I felt like he was siding with him, with his father. And the anger led to upset, so then I started crying, and it just appeared to be, and then I got embarrassed. And
when looking only at the member who is talking, the leader doesn't pick up on the nonverbal cues of the other members. When this happens, only the talking member connects with the leader. The group in this next demonstration is the same as the previous group, but the leader is much more effective regarding the use of eyes. It's 30 minutes into the second session of a group at the Mental Health Center, dealing with the topic of guilt.
I've just had some frustration within the past week. My father-in-law, we ended up getting in an argument, and I noticed that instead of my husband trying to be the mediator, he started to side with his father a little bit more. And it just, a lot of anger just built up after that, because I thought, he was supposed to be on my side, or, it was supposed to be a mutual thing, not siding with each other.
Sure.
Yeah.
Megan, what are you thinking?
Well, I really understand where you're coming from, because I too fight with my father-in-law a lot, and my husband and I go through it all the time, and I just get so angry and almost hurt.
Yeah, well, it led to me started crying, know, and then I started to get embarrassed because they saw me that I got really upset and just emotional, and
then I feel like I always look like the bad guy in the situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Using your eyes effectively as a leader and getting members to use their eyes effectively is much more difficult than it seems. We encourage you to start practicing this in groups you're leading or in social situations you're in. Next, let's tackle a skill that's often overlooked in the literature, yet vital for leaders in their quest to move the group along in a pointed fashion. That skill is called focus. Focus refers to the leader's knowledge of what's happening in the group and the ability to get the group to move in a unified fashion. Just as a camera lens focuses on a subject and becomes clear to the photographer, so does the group leader focus the group so that members are clear about what is to be discussed. At a given moment, the focus of any group is either on a topic, an activity, or a person. And throughout a session, the leader must establish